What is 3 times 3? Yes?
9.
Wrong. Yes, Penelope.
Gender equality.
Very good, Penelope.
Is this a joke?
Do you think gender equality is a joke?
No, but isn't this a maths class?
Don't be so racist.
I just asked a question.
We don't ask questions. Questions are offensive.
Yeah!
Look out for Charlie.
Nefarious technology has always been tested out on the mentally ill, in prisons. This was way back before it was just used on the general populace. I mean, they did that too, but when they were doing nefarious shit, they would test on prisoners and mentally ill people, or people that were terminal with a disease. There was the case in 1988 or 1989 out in Utah. There was a guy, and I can't remember his name right now. I usually remember names, but he was put in solitary confinement, and he began to hear the voice of God weapon, and he tried to sue. Now, what if I told you that AI was being tested with prisoners? They have prisoners, lonely people that are locked up, 23 hours a day, have no one to talk to, and then they hand them this AI and say, okay, you can talk to this. That's a fact. Check this out. This is an interview with Suge Knight from prison.
You got to remember one thing. In prison, I'm in the cell by myself. Besides this AI thing I got, we talk to each other. So I'm probably, ain't used to talking that much. So I'm going a little too fast. So let me slow it down.
All good.
So he says, in prison, I don't talk that much. I just got this AI thing to talk to. So they isolate these people and give them AI to chat back and forth with. Now, how long has this been going on, and how come nobody really knew about it? That is very, very, very interesting. How long were they doing this with prisoners before they began giving it to the population? Now, another thing that you have to think about with this AI in a prison, once these people get comfortable talking to it, is the amount of profile information, personal information, and intelligence they can gather from just a simple AI conversation that this person is having. Because if you try to tell me that they're not logging this shit, you are high off your ass. You are out of your goddamn mind. This is a very, very dangerous thing, and everything that everybody says to AI is being logged. Everything that you text, everything that you say is being logged. Everything that you do on the web is basically training artificial intelligence now, and has been for years, even before they rolled these toys out for people. It's far surpassed what people believe it is, and it's been like that for a long time. After my last video, somebody asked me if I believe that psychics are hearing voice of God weapons. Yeah, if they are hearing a voice, they are being subjected to voice of God weapons. And again, I've said this a million times, but they don't have to point this at you. It's not a beam. You are within a field, and if you are sensitized to hear it, you are going to hear it. There was a woman a few years ago that talked to Scott Weiland, and she really believed that she was talking to Scott Weiland. And it is something, man. So, you've got religious people, you've got ascension people, you have psychics, you have all these different groups of people hearing this, and it gets passed off as something else. People can hear the same story over and over and over, and just minor details are changed. And they won't recognize that it's the same script with just tiny details changed. So they don't see it as the same thing over and over. A psychic hears voices, a religious person hears voices, a random person down the road starts hearing voices at like 45. It's absolutely crazy that people aren't putting this together. It's like all those missing persons videos. I did one where there was a channel that put out like 7 missing people, and all of them went missing after hearing voice of God weapons, but they couldn't put together that they were all the same thing over and over. It's amazing. I think it was Lars Matank and the chick from Rome that went on a vacation and started hearing voices in the hotel. A bunch of other cases. They were all the same. And that's just like this. You have different groups of people, and they're all hearing this crap. And then you have the whole mental health industry and the mental health narrative that are, pushing this crap and trying to tell people that a chemical imbalance, when it's the medications that create a chemical imbalance, and then people can't get off them. It's a mad world right now. You know, one thing that people have been mentioning for a long, long time is bringing up the community to me, whatever community that be. You know, as a member of the community, what do you think about this? Look, I am not part of any community. I do my own work. I am willing to work with other people if they're the right people, but I am independent. I do things alone unless I find like-minded people, and then I am willing to work with them. I care about, you know, getting to the bottom of shit that's going on. Now, these communities in the past, long ago, have tried repeatedly to get me under their wing in one way or another, and I just don't go with that. You know, as far as I'm concerned, when you start getting into that, then you start getting into mediocre, because you can't say anything that's going to piss off the community. You have to get in lockstep, and I don't do lockstep. I've never done lockstep. I do my own thing. Now, there's something else that I want to talk about real quick, and that is the media. People have been saying for a long, long time that the media will just begin parroting information. Let's take schmootings, for example, and, you know, you'll get crazy information that turns out to not be factual, and there's a flood of it. That happened on September 11th, or you had phone calls coming in from another event in 2012, calling another school saying things, and the media is reporting on all this stuff haphazardly, right? And people think it's an accident. The media is so irresponsible that they just blab this stuff and they don't even verify it first. No, they are doing that on purpose, and that is the telltale sign that something is wrong. When the media is flooded with false leads and all this, like a dust storm of confusing information, that is done on purpose, so that all the cards are up in the air, and then as the cards fall, they can put the narrative together and settle on something. They're not quite sure how it's going to turn out yet, totally. They don't know if somebody's going to get popped, if, you know, if this is going to happen, if something is going to change the direction, change the course of the operation. So they kind of have to play it loose. Even though there's a plan put together, they have to play it loose until it can be solidified. And that's why they do that. They're in lockstep with whatever information gets sent to them or relayed to them. So it's not, you know, haphazard reporting. It is totally and completely intentional. Now, if you've noticed, there are a lot of people out there now talking about weaponized signals, voice of God weapons, all of this. And my whole goal when I first started doing this was to get things to a critical mass where people could just have the discussion. Just having the discussion without it being shot down. We need to talk about this. There's a good side and a bad side of this. It's good that people are talking about it. It brings awareness. One of the bad sides is that there's a lot of bullshit being thrown in. And second, a lot of these channels out there that are talking about it have been around for a long time with a lot of subscribers, right? And they didn't have the balls to talk about it before. But now that it's becoming socially acceptable to talk about it, they're jumping on the bandwagon and trying to create the appearance that they're edgy when they're not. So, you know, do I respect those people? Not at all. The people that are talking about it, though, and are, you know, putting out the facts are right on and should keep doing what they're doing. But I don't have a whole lot of respect for somebody who's been around for 15 years, you know, talking about Q or whatever the fuck, and now they're talking about this. We are getting closer to critical mass, and more people know about it. That's a good thing. But just like the radio frequency Jesus video that I put out, there's going to be people that are propped up that are spewing absolute bullshit. And that sucks. And the ones that are doing that are being intentionally put there. There are people out there that have done work. And then some huckster is being interviewed on some channel, and they're just spewing bullshit. And they're being purposely put there to do that. all of a sudden they've got all this insider info or they know what's going on. And there's no science that they've done. It's just hearsay to them. So they really don't know what they're talking about. That's concerning. But for the people out there that are rocking it and doing the work, even some of you who don't do the work anymore, some people have just stopped. And I commend those people because there are people out there that did some real work, man, over the years. Now, these platforms, YouTube in like 2015, 2016, just started deleting shit. Channels, videos, they've got organizations and agencies that are going through and flagging videos for them. And then they bring it to them and then YouTube, boom, gets rid of them. There are people who are just paid to go around and flag videos all day and creating an NPC echo chamber because it is beneficial for them. Anything divisive in the arenas that they deem worthy is beneficial. Trans people have no power. The people that they prop up have no real power. It's an illusion. And their power comes from the forces that are propping them up for you to see. And they want you to become angry. They want you to fight. They want infighting. It's just a typical divide and conquer tactic. It's very easy to tell what they want you fighting about by what they are promoting both sides of. Whether that be Republican and Democrat, whether that be woke or traditional, whether that be any number of different ideas and divisions, lines in the sand that they are promoting on these platforms, it is designed to piss you off, to take your time up while they are doing very Bolshevik things behind the curtain while you're watching the screen. And people need to realize that. These people have no power. They're being paraded around like dogs, and they're falling for it too. So you've got these two sides that are falling for it. It's really the old school Republican and Democrat trick being flipped and turned into something else, a very extreme version. So you've got boxing, old school boxing, and then you've got MMA fighting. This is the MMA fighting of the culture war, right, or culture in general. And that's what's going on. Really, really pay attention to that. Pay attention to what they're promoting and what they're putting out. Is some of it entertaining? Hell yeah. Absolutely. But is it really real? Not really. It's an illusion. There are people out there that seem to get really upset when you don't cover things that they want you to cover. Or if you don't frame things the way they want you to frame things. And that's really fucked up. I don't go by feeling. I go by where evidence takes me and where the science takes me. I don't go in with a theory that I want to prove true. I go in and I see where this is going and I follow it. And that's a lot different than a lot of these people out there. I have one answer for these people, and it's really simple. I don't give a fuck. Start a channel. Start a channel and start putting your own content out. If you are doing it correctly, and if you aren't talking about yourself the whole fucking time, you will get people that are interested in what you are talking about. They should be thinking about productive and efficient ways to get their message out. But instead, they are more concerned with themselves. For example, I watched an interview with a guy, and this said guy was putting out information, but they stuck him with a guest. They're always terrible, the guest they throw in with the guy, right? And the guest was only concerned about validating himself, validating his experiences, validating me. When the dude was trying to put out, relevant, important information. And the other guy was center of the universe type. With that interview that I watched, it's almost like they put that guy there to be the pain in the ass so that people would lose interest. It almost seemed like that. I would find myself skipping over the video to get to the relevant guy. It was painful. It was just fucking painful to listen to. And that is counterproductive, man. Totally counterproductive. Don't worry about what I do. Stop listening whatever you got to do. If you're not digging it, just go. I don't go and watch channels I don't like. I don't have time for that shit. Who has time for that? I don't know anybody real that does have time for that. Now, lastly, I want to talk about Emma Fillipoff. There has been debate for many, many years about what happened to her. This happened a long, long time ago. And I said back then, after I went over the red flags of the case, that she was a victim of voice of God weapons. 95% of these people that go missing like this are victims of voice of God weapons. They either run and get themselves put into a really messed up situation or die trying to hide or get away, or something terrible happens from them running, being paranoid, and not thinking correctly. Well, it turns out that Emma Fillipoff was hearing voices, and the voices told her to move the furniture around in her room, and she did it before she went missing. There's evidence to that. So Emma Fillipoff, just like 95% of these people that go missing, was a victim of voice of God weapons. So we can put that one to bed finally. You know, I had been looking for years and I couldn't find the evidence, and I finally found where they were talking about her hearing voices and moving things around, because that's exactly what she was acting like. I've studied these behaviors for years, and I know it when I see it, and that's exactly what it was. And that's it for now. Look out for Charlie.